Welcome to the celebration of the Transitus. The word transitus is derived from the Latin, meaning passage or crossing or going over. And thus, it is a vigil service in honor of the passing of St. Francis from life to life, from this life to eternal life. Every year on the third evening of October, the Friars and other followers of St. Francis have gathered for over 800 years to commemorate this event. We ritually remember the passing of St. Francis from life into God as a reminder to renew our own commitment to follow Christ in the way of the little poor man of Assisi. The interesting aspect of this service is that there is nothing has ever been written down. There is no rite or ritual or book which has the service in it. The Franciscan Friars have simply passed this service down by word of mouth for over 800 years. A key part of the celebration is to read and reflect upon the gospel passage which St. Francis asked his brothers gathered at his deathbed to read aloud. The brothers read the gospel from the Mass of the Last Supper, from the Gospel of John chapter 13 verses 1 to 17. The account of Jesus washing the feet of his disciples provides a glimpse into the gospel life which St. Francis sought to live, and which we, his spiritual heirs, have inherited it. My dear friends, we invite you to commemorate with us this night by participating in our celebration of the life and death of St. Francis. Two years before Francis gave his soul back to God, he was alone on the top of Mount Alverna. There he had begun a fast of 40 days in honor of the Archangel Michael, and was immersed more deeply than usual in the delights of heavenly contemplation. His soul became aglow with the ardor of fervent longing for God as he experienced within himself the operations of grace. On the morning of the feast of the exaltation of the cross, Francis had the vision of the crucified, who imprinted his sacred wounds in the body of Francis.
Lord, Lord, answer me. Lord, 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 answer me. Answer me, Lord. Francesco! Francesco!
Francesco! Leone. Leone. Don't leave me. I'm here. Grammaticam Divinitatem et legem. All the same. Deus mihi dixit. Deus mihi dixit. God spoke. Do you understand?
It's true.
Leone, what if I am a fool?
No, because you responded without reservation. Yes, without reservation.
She was suffering.
You were suffering too.
But I've seen so many suffer much more. For us, it was easy, wasn't it, Leone?
Not always.
I see so many faces. And what have I been able to do to help them? Nothing. Nothing. I desire to be alone. But if it is necessary for you to come to me, come.
Father in heaven, forgive this man who covets thy suffering and clamors for a grace he has not earned. Abase me, that my brothers may rise. Punish me, that men may raise up even a little way by the pattern of thy pain in me. God, take me to thyself soon. And with a loud voice he cried, Father, Father, why hast thou forsaken me? Oh, my despair is not worthy to be seen in the light of thy great agony. I love thee, thy heavens, thy glory, thy cross.
Francesco! What happened? Let me see. Let me see. You've hurt yourself.
He answered.
Deus me dixit. God spoke to me again. Deus me dixit.
God spoke to me again.
These holy wounds, they draw me close. I bear this pain for your love. Stigmata, a sign that I'm chosen. Thank you, Lord, for choosing me. Stigmata, my Savior's wounds, I bear them in my fragile self. My heart exalts in joy to feel your passion, Lord. Stigmata, my Savior's wounds, I bear them in my fragile self. My heart exalts in joy to feel your passion, I lift myself and my soul, filled with joy and your grace. Stigmata, to share your suffering, I bow down in humble praise. Stigmata, my Savior's wounds, I bear them in my fragile self. My heart exalts in joy to feel your passion, Lord. Stigmata, my Savior's wounds, I bear them in my fragile self. My heart exalts in joy to feel your passion, Lord.
Francis hung upon the cross with Christ. He burned with love for God, and like Christ crucified, he thirsted for the salvation of all people. He could no longer walk because of the pain in his feet, and so he had himself carried through the towns and villages so he might encourage others to carry the cross of Christ. To the friars, he used to say,
"My brothers, we must begin to serve our Lord and God. Until now, we have done very little."
Francis longed with all his heart to return to the humble beginnings he had made at first, to nurse the lepers once more, to make his body serve him once as it had served him before. With Christ as his leader, he proposed to do great things. He was hemmed in with agonizing pain, but he called his trials his sisters, not his pains. As the time of his death drew near, the brothers, together with Clare and her sisters, gathered near the place that Francis called the cradle of the order, the Church of Our Lady of the Angels, or the Porziuncola, the little portion. Together they would sing the praise of the Lord of light as the light of their father Francis began to dim in death.
Where's Angelo? The poem I wrote for the brothers about the sun and the creatures of the earth. Please sing it to me.
Sing out and praise the Lord of creation. Bring out the notes with loud acclamation. Bring out the drums, the trumpets, the cymbals. Swing out the ropes and peal out for him bells.
Most high, O Lord Almighty, most gracious, bring we to you our worship and praises, singing with joy we thank and acclaim you. No man alive is worthy to name you.
Praise for the cosmic world that surrounds us, chiefest for brother, sun that astounds us. He is our Deo, likeness shines through him. Praising his light, we sing you this new hymn.
Sister, the moon that gently shines o'er us, leading the stars from joins in a chorus. Brother, the wind and clouds and all weather, all these rejoicing sing out together.
Praise for our sister, praise you for water, precious and meek and useful your daughter. Praise be for fire, our brother that blazes, singing with joy your glory and praises.
Praise for the earth, for river unfolding, flowers and plants sustaining, upholding, fruit-bearing trees for all that is living. Sister and mother, always life-giving. Praise you for those forgiveness bestowing. You're on the bed, proclaiming and showing ancient things and trials surrounding. We cannot wait, oh Lord, and to come there.
Praise you for that, our sister most kindly, giving your friends to heaven benignly. Justice the shade to sinful and random. No one can flee them, you choose to send. Sing out and praise the Lord of creation. Bring out the music, loud acclamation. Bring out the drums, the trumpets, the cymbals. Swing out the ropes and bring out for him.
Just began to think not only of those who had gathered in the Porziuncola, those original followers, but of all those in the world who sought to live out the vision Christ had bequeathed to him. And not only of those living, but of all men and women, of all times and places, who would hear the word of Jesus in the gospel and would try to follow the Lord plainly and simply. Francis now asked that the book of the Gospels be opened and that the account of the Passion to be read from St. John. Francis loved his friends, his followers, to the very end. Like the Lord had done on the night before he died, Francis took bread and blessed and broke it and gave a piece to each of his brothers and sisters. He prayed for all who would celebrate the supper of the Lord, that they would remember to let Christ himself transform them. He prayed that they, like Christ himself, would offer themselves to be broken and poured out. Francis, to the very end, was faithful to his Lady Poverty. He would die stretched out on the cold ground, clothed in a borrowed habit. He was unable to rise, empty, as Christ had been emptied. With Christ, he would wait for the touch of the Father.
Juniper? My foolish brother Juniper, crying foolish tears when we should all rejoice in God.
Praised be thou, our Lord, with all thy creatures, especially Sir, brother, son, through whom God gives the light of day.
Take me down from this bed and put me on the floor. I must meet my Lord as the worthless beggar I am.
Brothers and sisters began to weep, and almost as if to console them, Francis, in a faint whisper, began Psalm 142. The brothers and sisters picked up the words and began to pray the psalm.
Loud is the cry that I make to the Lord. Loud is my prayer for his mercy and help. Loudly I place my complaint before him. Tell him of all I endure in my heart. Ready to faint is my heart within me. You alone know, my Lord, what I go through. There in my path they have laid me a trap. none can I find by my side as my friend. Means of escape there is none for me now. No one on earth is concerned about me. That is why now I entreat you, my Lord. Lord, you are all I have left in this world. Listen, my Lord, to my cry of distress, rising from depths of depression and woe. Save me from those who pursue me, my Lord. Strong are they while I am weary and tired. Out of this prison, oh, lead me to joy. Lead me to freedom, to praising your name. Then shall I sing of your goodness and love. Sing in the gathering of all of your friends. Glory to Father and glory to Son, glory to Spirit, the three who are one. Ages echoing to ages reply. Glory forever and praise to my God.
Francis then invited all creatures to praise God and exhorted them to love God and to love one another. He exhorted Sister Death herself to give praise, and joyfully going to meet her, he invited her to make her logic with him. He said,
"Welcome, my Sister Death."
To the doctor, he said,
"Tell me bravely, Brother Doctor, that death, which is the gateway to life, is at hand."
Then to the friars,
"When you see that I am dead, let my brother body lie naked on the ground for as long as it takes to walk a mile unhurriedly."
Then, when many friars had gathered about, whose father and leader he was, and while they were standing reverently at his side, awaiting his blessed death and happy end, his most holy soul was freed, and his spirit was received into the abyss of God's glory. Francis embraced Sister Death. Francis fell asleep in God.
My friends, they call me. The Skylark. He's my brother. For he rises up to heaven and calls back to the beloved earth below.
The whole city of Assisi rushed in a body, and the whole region hastened to see the wonderful works of God, which the Lord of Majesty had made manifest in his holy servant. At the time of Francis' death, when it was already dusk, a great flock of larks gathered, although they normally prefer the light of day and avoid the shades of night. There they remained, flying about and singing with unusual joy, clearly testifying by the exuberance of their song to the glory of the saint who had so often called them to praise the Most High God.
Farewell, my beloved teacher and guide. Poorest, most humble, richest of all. Pex et bonum. Once you thought you were called to build churches of mortar and stone. But you were building chapels in the hearts of millions of men and women everywhere.